Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Jimmy Butler has officially requested a trade, which we already kind of knew because Shams been telling us that he wanted out, but people were saying that Shams was lying. And nobody actually thought Shams was lying. We thought they were lying, but we probably thought it was in Shams' best interest not to go against their cap because at the end of the day, it is their crap. You know what I mean? So that was my whole point of view. But now they come around and confirmed Shams was not a sham all along, and that Jimmy really did have his desires to move on from Miami rather right the hell now, actually. So I mean, for me, I mean, we've been seeing the writing on the wall for a little while now. I thought it was almost close to over when Pat Riley called him out about a month and a half ago. Because at the end of the day, Jimmy doesn't have the disposition to be called out for not playing hard. And we know how hard he's going for this organization, including getting his team to the finals twice. Of course, with the help of other players. It wasn't by himself, but like he was the star of the team during both of those circumstances, and how hard he was fighting in that bubble. As a Laker fan, I'm not going to forget it. Some of the performances he put up were legendary finals performances. So for him not to be given the respect of at least not being called out is a real thing, and I feel like he's that kind of tumble forward everything that probably went left from there between those two. You know, Pat Riley is an old school guy, man, and this is a new school world. And even though Jimmy has proven that he's loyal to the place that he's at, he's also proven he can't find himself to be happy anywhere too. So I think this is probably on both of them to a degree. I think Pat Riley, it's been said that he kind of wedged the wedge between himself and LeBron James, and that's why Bron left, some people believe. And now he's doing the same thing with Jimmy. I just, you know, sometimes it's literally okay to just catch up to the times and update your way of doing things. And as I grow older and watching people who are older today make that mistake, I hope that when I'm Pat's age, I kind of get that. Some stuff you just got to leave in the past, man, as it pertains to ego and not allowing this or saying we don't do that. You know, the kids do. The kids definitely do that. And because they do that, if you're going to run an organization that they're going to be a part of, you better get around to doing that too, or at least allowing them to do it, or being a little more lenient about what it is you expect the world to be around you, because it ain't 1985, like it literally not. So I think that's the problem with Pat Riley, man. Not to mention that he's paid the wrong people a lot of times, to be honest with you. He's paid the wrong people, man. And look, we've been making this argument for a while now in regards to Pat. I just think he's handed out millions and millions of dollars to guys that probably should have been given half of that. And his team would have been a lot better if they would have valued developing players instead of paying guys and stuff like that. They're a prime example of some of the stuff we complain about. So, you know, they've been able to get away with it because the system that they have and the coach that they have is terrific. The culture that they've kept, you know, does great things with whoever's in the uniform. But they would have gotten so much more out of those people if they would have been different people working that culture. Better players working that culture. It would have been even more successful. So I just think that Erik Spoelstra has been able to mask a lot of the mistakes that Pat Riley has made with that franchise, to be honest with you. And it's getting to a point where I guess they want to hand the keys to Tyler Hero, who I think is a very, very good player, but you're going to need a Jimmy type player on your team. So I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do in regards to making this trade. I don't know that they're even willing to make a trade, even though Jimmy is went public on basically at the end of a press conference. I guess he's answered some questions in regards to his trade request. Said he wants his joy to return. He doesn't think he can find that in Miami. He's happy off the court, but you know, he wants to play meaningful basketball. So that's code for The bridge is burnt between me and Pat Riley, and I'm not going to be able to coexist with this man no more. It's war, and I ain't about to do nothing for him. From what I understand, he hasn't really been playing the way that Jimmy plays over the last several games. Some people have said that he's been phased out. Other people are saying he's throwing games, sabotaging the team or whatever. I don't know, but when Jimmy's checked out, Jimmy's checked out. And from what I understand, he don't have no trade demand as it pertains to the destination specifically. He'll go to any one of these teams, he said. He just wants to get the hell out of Miami. So that's where we're at. I don't know. I thought the Miami Heat actually had a better roster this year than they've had in the last several years, despite getting to the finals. I didn't think that finals team was really any good at all, to be honest with you. They just overachieved like crazy. That's what I thought. But at this point, it's clear that Jimmy's done, and they still got to win now timeline. With Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, they got to figure out who they can bring in that can keep them above the floor to make them even better than Jimmy Butler did. And I don't know how they do that. I really don't know how to do that. There are going to be options, but I'm not really sure any would make it so that they're better for making the trade. I think they're probably better for maybe retooling. I mean, you got some mainstays there like Bam. You don't want to move. Just because Jimmy wants out doesn't mean you want to trade away the center that you've given a contract to just 5 minutes ago that you're pleased with, But to get on the timeline that makes sense, I don't know that in trading Jimmy Butler, they can get themselves a trade that's better than trying to trade Jimmy Butler for assets that can ultimately upstart a rebuild. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. Again, my mind's eye, it seems to me that they could probably move Jimmy to a team like OKC, who has plenty of picks, a team like San Antonio, who has plenty of picks, who likely want to win right now. You know what I mean? Rather than trading him to another contender and seeing what that contender will be willing to move on from for Jimmy. That keeps both teams feeling good about their chances to win a championship. Because that's essentially what you're doing if you stay on this timeline if you're Miami. Now you're sending Jimmy to a contender, but that contender is going to want to have Jimmy and most of the parts that are in place right now that allow for them to be as good as a team that Jimmy would want to be playing for, or a team that would want to go acquire Jimmy to finish off their timeline. So you are most likely to get Jimmy from a team that has that going on, but also has picks to give up instead of players, so that they're not giving up parts of their core for which Jimmy would otherwise be replacing, but more so stacking Jimmy on top of so much other stuff that they can go out and win with right now. You see what I'm saying? So you're not going to send them to a rebuilding team, because a rebuilding team is not going to want a 34-year-old, 36-year-old Jimmy. So it's like your options are limited, and then the interest would have to be gauged from within that limited option range. That's the problem. It's like not only are your options limited, but now you got to figure out within the options you have if any of that's actually making sense for you. And I'm telling you, I could totally see Pat Riley just giving Jimmy the finger and saying, I'm not trading you. If I can't get better by moving you, then I might as well just spite you just for embarrassing me like this. And I kind of think that's where this is going to potentially go. And Jimmy's going to have to make a decision at this stage in his career if he wants to play this game with Pat Riley, or would it be best for him to just swallow his pride and just play the season out and try this again in the offseason? Because if he does this right now and Pat Riley's not able to find a return that he's pleased with, you could potentially find yourself in a spiteful situation where it benefits Pat Riley greatly to just give you the finger and keep you on the team. That's what I think this is. That's exactly what I think this is. I think the team may have tried to trade Jimmy a couple of weeks ago when everybody was saying this was cap, and probably didn't get no type of returns that they were pleased with. So now that he's come out and said he want to do this, it decreases the value of him even more. making it less likely that they're going to be able to make a trade and getting a return that they like. Even more less likely when they already were probably having trouble trading him for something they like. So if I'm reading tea leaves, which I think I'm pretty decent at, I don't know that Jimmy's going anywhere, especially in this collective bargaining agreement. I think it's more likely that they spike Jimmy and keep him there. Because what's the worst that can happen? He just doesn't play and they're not good enough. Maybe depending on the trade return that they would otherwise be settling for, that might be the same equivalent. But instead, they're not locking themselves into some type of contracts that they don't appreciate and taking back some picks that maybe they don't value very much. So like, this is a real thing, man. It's a real thing. This is why I say players who want to be moved likely shouldn't tell anybody they want to be moved. It doesn't really work. You lock up the market for yourself. You make it less likely that the team that's trading you feels confident that they're getting a good return. I just think it's best to do this stuff silently. And it seemed like they were trying to, but Shams kind of threw a monkey wrench in it. And Jimmy just like threw a lump of coal on the process even further by doubling down on the idea that Shams was right, that Shams wasn't lying, and that he wants out. So my guess is that he probably went back there and told Pat Riley, trade me right now. Pat Riley probably gave him the finger. And he was like, all right, cool, I'm going to tank my value then. If you're not going to move me, then you definitely not getting nothing good for me. You had an opportunity. That's what I think probably went on behind the scenes, some variation of that. Like, move me. No, I don't like the return we're getting for you. I'm not moving you nowhere. All right, cool. I'm going to go out and tell everybody I want the hell out of here, and you really ain't going to get a good return for me. So that's the type of war that this looks like is going on back there. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, I think Jimmy Butler's still a comfortable piece. And if he's not going to play for the Miami Heat, I would probably tell Pat Riley that the lesser of two evils probably is the lesser return than to ask him to stay there, because he is 35, 36 years old. He could retire, you get nothing for him. Maybe your ego is pleased with that, but your ownership probably wouldn't be. Mickey Arison, I think that's who owns this team, he probably won't be happy with that. He would be wise, ownership would be wise, to lock in value for Jimmy Butler at all costs, especially at this age. If he's not going to retire in your uniform a happy guy, then you should probably get something for him. You know, that's just proper allocation of your assets. And if team like Miami has really done a bad job of that over the last several years since LeBron left, they haven't done a good job of that. And that's been on Pat Riley's watch. So if I'm Mickey Arison, I understand Pat Riley is a respected, championship-winning executive and coach. I'm not quick to just disrespect him and just like fire him or try to step on him or whatever. They have a good relationship. They've been working with one another for, what has it been now? Close to 20 years, something like that. So I don't doubt at all that Mickey Arison respects the hell out of Pat Riley. But I'm telling you, if I'm Mickey Arison, this might be the thing that makes me say, all right, Pat, so we're going to retire you, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, we're going to retire you. You need to get this right, Pat. That's what I would say. You need to get this right, bro. Whatever that looks like, you need to get it right. Because I know you're the executive, but you are not the owner. End of the day, that's somebody else's money you're playing with. And while you want to do this with Jimmy Butler, you did this with LeBron James, Mickey the one holding the bag. At the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? It's not your money on the line. It's not your franchise on the line. So I would tell Pat, you gotta trade Jimmy. I know it's gonna hurt you to take back a return you don't like and make Jimmy look like he won this. But you're not. I am. That's what it really comes down to. If I'm the owner, you're not taking the loss. I am. You need not forget that. So I don't know if that's the owner's point of view. I don't know. Far be it for me to have any idea what the owner's thinking. I'm a Lakers fan. I don't hardly pay attention to the Heat. I'm just telling you how I would feel based on some of the mistakes that have been made on Pat's watch and where we're at right now with Jimmy Butler and why. You know what I mean? And why? And they have to go down this path again with another star. It ain't making everything look all right. If I'm assessing things as somebody who's putting myself in the owner's shoes. So I would just tell Pat, hey, look, man, I know you're a proud dude, Jimmy and you know, you're very proud brothers. But at the end of the day, with what's on the line now, I need to capture value for this player. So if you find something that looks, if you find some returns, bring them back to me. I'm gonna sign off on something. You trade them there. That's what I would tell them. Sometimes the owner has to take it out of GM's hands, out of the president's hands, because otherwise it's gonna be a manhood measuring contest, and it's the owner that ends up really taking the loss in the situation. You know, bottom line. And if I'm Jimmy, I need to understand something. Yes, I've helped this team get to the finals twice. But I've also had situations where I couldn't seem to be happy really in several different spots all over the league. You left Minnesota with bad things to say about people. Obviously, Philadelphia decided they weren't going to re-sign you, even though that was probably in their worst interest. Wasn't there another spot too? Chicago, I don't remember how that ended. And now Miami's ending poorly. Jimmy got to understand that the reputation for him being a winner and the reputation for him being somebody who can't be happy anywhere is starting to go hand in damn hand. Hand in damn hand. And there are going to be teams in this situation that are probably not going to pull the trigger on the Jimmy trade or not going to offer up something they probably would for his production because of it. Because when he gets here, it ain't going to be long before he either gets into it with one of my guys in the office or gets into it with me or gets into it with one of these players or this coach. And at the age that he's at, how much longer is he going to have the value he has? And that's what it really comes down to. It's a hell of a risk to bring on a guy who could potentially find himself unhappy and want out later and will be willing to take his value if for some reason I don't pull the trigger quick enough when he decides he wants out. Like, no, bro. Nah, I'm not gonna be sending out all kinds of future and all types of viable assets to bring you in when that could be potentially the problem there. Nah. So I'm sure there are many teams that would love to have Jimmy right now. And, you know, I don't think he's ruined it yet. But for some of them, some of the owners out there, you probably are sitting there saying, you know, it probably is in my best interest to just not go there with Jimmy. I think it was Tiki TV who was saying that about De'Aaron Fox, too. I don't know if I feel that way about De'Aaron Fox. I ain't heard too many bad things about De'Aaron Fox. He's only been in one place. He's been there this long. They ain't put together nothing worth being in. So if he's being insubordinate in any ways, it's probably because Sacramento has not done right by him. But when it comes to Jimmy, yeah, what he said about Fox, that's how I feel about Jimmy. I just don't know if it might not be worth it for everybody. You know, as I said, the Los Angeles Lakers, as much as we could use a piece like that, I genuinely think he's going to get into it with Bron and AD before February. You trade for him now, he's going to get into it then before February. And for what it's going to cost us to move him, to get him, I just don't know if I'd risk that. If they're going to want picks and stuff like that, he's, 35 years old? I don't know if I'm risking that. I don't think so. And so, as a Laker fan, if we can get him for like Rui Hachimura and send back Gabe Vincent, second rounders, if they would go something crazy like that, then of course I'm ecstatic about bringing in Jimmy. But as far as me giving up future first round picks for Jimmy Butler, his production's worth it. His star power is worth it. His personality, oh no. Oh no. The potential of him getting into it with our all-stars, oh no. Hell no. So that's the problem. I think they would probably still give up a first rounder for him. The Lakers would. But I'm telling you, I probably wouldn't right now. I wouldn't. I think the Lakers would. I don't think they really are in a position where they feel it's in their best interest to turn down an opportunity to win a Jimmy Butler trade. So they're probably throwing 2 picks and all types of stuff. I'm just telling you, I don't think that's the wisest play. for the Lakers to do that with this personality. Coming in disgruntled, already having gotten into it, calling people soft and stuff like that. He come here, play with AD and Bron for a little while, and it's going to be Westbrook all over again. Only he ain't Westbrook. He going to want to fight some people. It ain't going to be a quiet, type of passive aggressive. Nah, he ain't going to do it. He ain't going to do that. Jimmy going to probably want to punch somebody for real. For real. And so that's really what it comes down to. I wish Jimmy the best. I know he comes from some incredibly difficult starts to his life. I know of his story, so I know where he's coming from in that regard. I can't relate, you know what I mean? When you see a person who's wealthy as hell, but you know where they came from and the stuff they went through, it's like I get why some, his fuse may be a little short with certain things. Just like his energy may be more than somebody average as well, You go through certain things in real life, it ain't a game for some people. Even though they've made success happen, they still remember them things and pain and all that. I get that with Jimmy. But at this point, where we are in this phase, I think Jimmy's going to really have to reel it in. Because his career at this point is on the line. And his knees further drive in the idea that, you know what, it's probably best for me not to invest in this player because he's older, he misses games. At this point, his legs, when he's good, still to this day. But how much longer can I get this out of him, even if any of that insubordination stuff isn't present? How much can I get out of him and for how long? So that only makes sense for a few teams. And the Lakers happen to be one of them. I think the Clippers are another, especially if they don't have to give up Kawhi Leonard or James Harden. I think that could be an interesting situation. I think obviously Sacramento, when you talk about De'Aaron Fox possibly being on the move as well, maybe they consider Jimmy somebody worth making that move with. Phoenix would love to move Bradley Beal, and if Miami would be stupid enough to take that contract, I'm certain that deal could get done in a couple hours. So there are a lot of places I think would take Jimmy. Jimmy wants to go to Golden State. I have no doubt Steph Curry would love to have Jimmy. I don't think he'd get tired of Steph Curry at all. And I think him and Draymond Green, Jimmy and Draymond Green, I tell you the truth, man. If ever there was somebody who would give Draymond Green everything that Draymond Green gives others, it's Jimmy. Draymond can punch a lot of people. Jimmy probably ain't one of them. I'm just going to say that. I think he wins a physical battle because he's a bigger person. But Jimmy is crazy, just like he is. So, I say that with respect, but I say that with a whole lot of certainty. I think that could be a lot of fun if they get along and then they teaming up with that energy against other people. I think the Golden State Warriors may be able to squeeze out a championship with Jimmy Butler, which tells me that if I'm a Western Conference team, I'd be wise to probably keep him from Golden State. You give Steph Curry and Draymond Green Jimmy Butler, I wouldn't be surprised they win the championship. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would not be surprised they figure that out. So they have a lot of small ball issues, though. The thing about them is they have physical issues, in my opinion. They could use a center or two just in case they got to go up against a Cleveland. Because the problem is the NBA is going to have to figure out right now is that you can have all types of nice little small ball rotations. But what the Lakers just found out in running up against Cleveland a couple days ago is if you don't have the stilts with energy that can keep up with those two, if they're healthy, when you see them in a 7-game series, they're probably going to outplay you. That's what I've learned. They don't believe in small ball in Cleveland. They have really good role players. They're shooting a lot of threes. They're playing a lot of defense. And that backcourt is amazing. So I got them winning the championship right now. And if you can't match up with that, you're not going to beat them, in my opinion. You better hope they get injured. You better hope something happened to either Mobley or Allen, because if they're both healthy and come playoff time, I see them pushing past teams just like they're doing in the regular season. That ain't no fluke. That's 14 feet of size. That's what that is. So, yeah, man. I don't know that Golden State would be able to beat that. Or OKC. But everybody else, I'm pretty sure they'd beat if they get Jimmy. I'm pretty damn sure they would. You know, I think Anthony Edwards at this stage in his career, you put him next to Jimmy Butler, that could be interesting too. I don't know they can win a championship, but I'm certain they would be as good as they were last year, depending on what you're moving out. Julius Randle. And you know, Julius Randle is another player and maybe Miami could take a flyer on. But I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. But if the Minnesota Timberwolves are serious about getting back to where they were last year, there's a few things they need to do. And one of them is probably get a little more talent in there. And given the fact that Jimmy used to play for Minnesota, the people that he used to complain about are long gone, and somebody you know he'd respect is in place, that's an interesting spot for Jimmy. San Antonio, as I think I've already mentioned, it's pretty interesting as well. I like the idea of him and Stephon Castle being on the same team. Of course, Wemby goes without saying. And I really do think Wemby's ready to win. I don't think he needs to wait. So I don't know if I'd have to give up things I don't want to give up if I'm San Antonio. But I do believe that if they make the right trade, Jimmy could definitely vault them into a real playoff space. So, you know, I mean, there are places Jimmy can go and find his joy again. But I think the most important thing for Jimmy to understand is, I don't know how many more times you got to do this. Sometimes when you're unhappy, you can't check out. You got to finish your contract. You know what I mean? So that people understand that if for some reason they can't create the environment you're happy in, you're not going to do this to them. And that's what Jimmy's failing to do. And at this age, I don't think he can afford to do that. So, yeah, man. That's my take on things, man. And Pat Riley, with all the respect in the world, man, I think you are benefiting from the fact that Mickey Harrison's in place. If there were new ownership in place, I think they would probably push you out at this point. The assets have not been handled properly. Superstars keep leaving, having rifts with you, allegedly. It's starting to get to a point where, do they really benefit from it anymore? Having you running things? I don't know, man. I'm being honest. I don't know. I don't know if they benefit from that anymore. Especially when you got Spoelstra to keep happy. How many more players is Spoelstra, superstars, is Spoelstra supposed to walk out the door when you know damn well it ain't on him? You see what I'm saying? When you got the best coach in basketball, who came up through your ranks, who ain't never played nowhere else, you may think that you're never going to lose him. And that may be a big mistake for a team like Miami, who keeps making mistakes around him. I don't have any notion that he'd want to get the hell out of there. I don't. But I think taking him for granted, thinking he's just going to keep on dealing with stuff like this, puts you in a position to feel like that's a mistake for Miami. They need to start valuing Spoelstra more, make sure he has talent around him, coach, you know, to do the stuff that he wants him to do, and people that are not going to be getting up out the door not unhappy with him. You see what I'm saying? Bron wasn't unhappy with Spoelstra. Why is Bron leaving? This is the type of stuff I would say if I was Spoelstra. We winning championships, and he getting into it with that guy in the front office that keeps on messing up these assets, keep on paying the wrong people, leaving me with freaking contracts like Robinson and Whiteside. Like, that's who is pissing people off, and they don't want to stick around. And nah, that gotta stop. If I'm Spoelstra, that's gotta stop. So I don't know, man. The Miami situation, it is what it is, man. I don't doubt that they're a very respected organization with a very good culture. And, you know, a lot of it has to do with Pat Riley and the stances he takes. But here goes another superstar ready to take off. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.